Dear learners, I welcome you all. Today we are going to learn about beer. What is beer? Beer is a brewed and fermented drink prepared from malted cereals. Brewing beer is believed to be over 10,000 years old. Ancient Egyptian brewed beer about 6,000 years ago. Early beer makers used a very simplistic brewing process and fermented beer for only a brief period of 1 or 2 days at the most. Beer is most widely consumed alcoholic beverage in the world. It is considered as third most popular drink after water and tea. Before going to the production method of beer, let us see what are the various types of beer. There are basically two types of beer, ale or ale, which are also known as top fermented, and lager, which are also known as bottom fermented beer. There are basically two types of beer, I will repeat again, ale or ale, which are also known as top fermented beer, and lager, which are also known as bottom fermented beer. Few styles of ale are barley beer, bitter, brown, mild, stout, Scotch ale, porter, Indian pale ale, Trappist, triple and Burton. Few styles of ale beer, few styles of lager beer are Bock, Doppelbock, Ice beer, Munchener, Pilsner, Vienna, Marzen and Roche beer. Now let us see what are the ingredients used in making beer. The ingredients are water, barley, hops, yeast, sugar and finnings. What is the use of each ingredients? Let us see. Water. It is the most important ingredient in making beer as it is the major component of beer. Taste and type of water influence the character of beer. Many breweries have their own springs or wells for water. Next ingredient is barley. Barley is soaked, germinated, dried and milled to gree. Next ingredient is hops. It is cone shaped bitter flower having tannins and resins. Tannins are used to clarify, stabilize and preserve the beer, and resins are the primary source of dryness and aroma. Next ingredient is sugar. It is the main source of food for yeast, which also initiates the process of fermentation. Sugar also adds sweetness to the beer. Next and last ingredient is finnings. These are brightening agents added to clear and brighten the beer. Isinglass is commonly used as finning agent, which is obtained from air bladder of various fish, especially sturgeon fish. It attracts all the sediments at the bottom of the cask, making the beer clear and bright. Next topic in beer that is important to learn is the production method of beer. Beer production involves various processes which requires close supervision, as the quality and character of beer largely depends on the output of each stage. Following are the steps involved in the production of beer: malting, brewing, hop back, cooling and pitching, fermentation, maturing and pasteurization, clarifying, packaging. Let us now understand these steps one by one in detail. First step in making beer is malting. Malting process has 4 steps, that is screening, steeping, germination, kiln drying and roasting. In screening, barley is cleaned by removing foreign objects from barley. Then this barley is washed and soaked in water for about 3 days to retain moisture. This step is called steeping. After steeping for about 3 days and achieving the desired moisture, this barley is germinated. In germination, warmth is absorbed by spreading soaked barley on malting floor. This barley is turned frequently for oxidation. During germination, the insoluble starch in the cereal is converted to soluble sugar by the enzymes diastase. Next step in malting is kiln drying and roasting. The germinated cereal is called green malt. Green malt is then dried and roasted in the kiln to stop further germination. The length of time and temperature the cereal is heated dictates the color and taste of the beer. What is kiln? Kiln is a furnace or oven for burning, baking or drying. After kilning, the dried and roasted malt is milled to coarse powder, which is called gree. Second step in beer making is brewing. The gree is sent to mash tun with hot water and any other grain such as unmalted barley, crushed maize, rye and wheat. This is called mashing. The mash is heated at 65 degrees Celsius for few hours to extract the soluble material from the gree. The sweet liquid obtained at this stage is known as wort. This wort is moved from mash tun to huge copper vessel and the residue is sprayed with hot water to extract any remaining sugar. This method of spraying hot water to extract sugar is known as sparging. The remaining solids in the mash tun are used for cattle feed. The wort in the huge copper vessel is brewed along with dried hops and added sugar. Remember, this is second brewing. The amount of sugar and hops added depends on the style of beer under production. Wort is boiled for 1 or 2 hours, which extract the beer flavor from the hops. Wort is boiled for 1 or 2 hours, which extract the bitter flavor from the hops. The hopped wort is then moved into a vessel called hop back. Next step in beer making is hop back. While moving hot wort from copper vessel to hop back, the spent hops are retained on the screen base of the hop back and the hot wort is filtered. The spent hops are sold for agriculture uses. Next and fourth step in beer production is cooling and pitching. The wort is then cooled down to 15 degrees Celsius by paraflow, that is heat exchanger system, and transferred to fermenting vats where it is pitched with yeast for fermentation. The wort must be at a temperature range from 5 to 30 degrees Celsius as the yeast remain active at this temperature. Next and the fifth step in beer production is fermentation. During the fermentation, the yeast multiplies and the new yeast is collected for future fermentation. Two types of brewers yeast is available, Saccharomyces cerevisiae and Saccharomyces carlsbergensis. Saccharomyces cerevisiae yeast is used for top fermentation, which produces ale beer, or we can say ale beer, and Saccharomyces carlsbergensis yeast is used for bottom fermentation, which produces lager beer. Top fermentation is a fast process, say about a week at high temperature range between 15 to 25 degrees Celsius. Bottom fermentation takes place at lower temperature range between 5 to 9 degrees Celsius for longer period. In the process of fermentation, yeast converts the sugar into alcohol and release carbon dioxide. Amount of sugar present in the wort decides the percentage of alcohol level. Next and the sixth step in beer production is maturing and pasteurization. After fermentation, ale is racked in storage tank and stored for 3 to 21 days. After 2-3 days, it is put into cask without pasteurization with some active yeast cell, which condition the beer in the cask, known as cask conditioning. It is sold as draft beer. Some specialty ales are bottled without filtration or with an added dosage of yeast known as bottle conditioning. Majority of the bottled beers are pasteurized. Lager are racked into storage tanks and matured for 10 to 24 weeks at the temperature range of 1 to 3 degrees Celsius. During maturing process, the yeast settles, harsh flavors mellows, and the beer gets its natural texture and carbonation. Both the top and bottom fermented beers are matured for at least 1 year. Next and the seventh step in beer production is brightening or clarifying process. The beers are then brightened with the addition of finnings, then it is filtered and then carbonated. The beer looks transparent and sparkling because of this process, otherwise it would have looked like a cloudy drink. Last and eighth step in beer production is packaging. The beer is ready at this stage and needs to be packed for sale in the market. Beer is packed in the sterilized casks, kegs, bottles and cans. Some draft beer, bottled and canned beer are pasteurized by subjecting them to steam at 60°C for 18 minutes to sterilize and lengthen the shelf life of the beer. Beer is then cooled, labeled, packed and distributed for sale. In the market, beer is sold in the following containers: casks, cans, kegs, tanks and bottles. Now let us understand what are kegs. These are metal containers of beer stored vertically in the cellar. The condition of the beer is taken care of by CO2 cylinder which are secured near to the keg. The size of the keg is usually 5 to 10 gallons. These kegs must be used within 3 to 4 days. Some beer like Guinness do not need a CO2 attachment as they are conditioned by the yeast present in the beer. Regular size of keg is 58.67 liters. Another way of packaging beer is bottles. This is the most common and popular packaging method followed all over the world. Bottle comes in various sizes: nips, half pint, pint, standard or bomber. Mostly dark color bottles are used to avoid it from sunlight. Nip is equal to 190 ml approximately, half pint is equal to 285 ml, pint is equal to 570 ml and standard is 650 ml. Next in the beer packaging are casks. Draft beer are racked into sterilized casks which are made from planks of oak and bound by metal belts. Most modern casks today are made of metal. These beers are allowed to condition before distributing to the market, which makes content have CO2. This aids in the formation of head while serving. Casks are stored horizontally in the stellion in the cellar. Casks are available in different capacities in the market: pin, firkin, kidderkin, barrel, hogshead, keg. Another category of beer packaging is can. Beer are canned mainly in sterilized container of half pint and pint. Canned beer has various advantages like they are easy to store, easy to dispose, it does not break, easy to carry, minimum risk of spoilage. Last packaging option available is tank. These tanks are used where the consumption of beer is very high. The capacity of the tank is normally 90 to 180 gallons. Beer comes in various strength. This strength is related to the percentage of alcohol present in the consumable liquid. Non-alcoholic beer is around 0.5% alcohol by volume. Low alcohol beer is around 0.5 to 1.2% alcohol by volume. Standard beer is 3 to 4% alcohol by volume. Premium beer is 4 to 6% alcohol by volume. Strong beer is 6 to 8% alcohol by volume. Extra strong beer is 8 to 11% alcohol by volume. After learning about production, packaging, etc., it is very important for a learner to understand that beer is a perishable item and it can get spoiled. There are various faults and reasons for spoilage. Let us study about them. First fault is sour beer. In this case, beer becomes sour in taste which is not the taste of the beer. In this case, beer becomes sour in taste, which is not the actual taste of the beer. It happens due to deposit of the yeast in pipes, adding stale beer to the fresh cask of beer, not exhausting the beer on time, that is not using the beer in a particular time, exposing beer to heavy fluctuation of temperature. Second fault that we found in beer is cloudy beer. In this case, the beer becomes translucent, which is just opposite of beer's character. A good beer is transparent and shiny. This happens due to storage of beer in low temperature, unclean or poorly cleaned pipes. This happens due to storage of beer in low temperature and uncleaned or poorly cleaned pipes. Third fault in beer is flat beer. In this case, beer becomes gasless, or we can say the CO2 escapes from the beer and it is considered as flat beer. Beer is either carbonized or nitrogenized. This happens due to the service of beer in a greasy glass. Beer is poured and left in the glass for long period. Beer is served in very low temperature. Fourth fault that we found in beer is foreign bodies. In this case, foreign bodies like sediments of yeast, cereal or any other foreign items are found in the beer. This happens due to the production error. Beer can be spoiled if not stored properly. We will now look at various ways of storing the beer. Beer must be stored in well ventilated cellar at the temperature range of 13 to 15 degrees Celsius. Beer must be stored in clean conditions and must not be subjected to extreme temperature, vibration, dust, etc. Bottled beer should not be exposed to sunlight. It must be stored in a place away from direct sunlight. Beer must never be stacked on ground. It must always be kept on racks at least 1 feet above the ground. There should be sufficient walking space in the store in order to avoid accidents. Beer should be kept in such a way that most moving brands are kept in front rows and less moving brands behind. FIFO means first in, first out. This rule must be followed strictly as the beer has expiry date. In the end, let us discuss the most popular beer brands and which country they belong to. Heineken belongs to Netherlands, Budweiser from USA, United States of America, Stella Artois from Belgium, Corona from Mexico, Amstel from Netherlands, Foster from Australia, Tiger Beer from Singapore, Carlsberg from Denmark, Tuborg from Denmark, Guinness from Ireland, Kingfisher from India, Bud Light from USA. To conclude, beer is an alcoholic beverage obtained from fermented brew or malted barley. It is a highly consumed alcoholic beverage all over the world. Production of beer is a sensitive matter as great care must be taken in each step of production. Beer must be stored and served at right temperature. I hope that by watching this video, you must have understood what is beer, how it is made, what it is made up of, its various styles, way of storing it and their popular brands. To learn more about beer, you can go through books on beer and watch videos on beer production and its service. Thank you.